This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffmann, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffmann.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffmann, coming to you from the east side grounds of the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C., as I'm out here for the National Association of Farm Broadcasting's Washington Watch meetings, a chance for broadcasters from all over the country to get together, talk policy here in the nation's capital, and it's going to be a big year with a lot of good discussion. Of course, with the 2023 Farm Bill on the docket, a lot of that is going to be questioned, but what we're going to be focusing on today, and one of the things we're going to be focusing on this week, is of course the waters of the U.S. rule. Now we know we got the ruling from the Federal District Court in North Dakota that granted an injunction to Iowa and 23 other states to block the implementation of WOTUS while we are fighting it in the court system. Also here in the halls of Congress, we had bipartisan solutions raised in both the House and the Senate to block the implementation of President Biden's WOTUS plan, which would reintroduce some of the things that President Obama had, which were overturned during the Trump administration and then re-overturned again when President Biden took office. We're going to sit down with Iowa Senator Joni Ernst in her office here in the program, and we'll get comments from her about WOTUS, as we are going to talk to her about everything agriculture here in Washington, D.C. But for right now, we'll also take a look at that ag weather outlook. The guys back at the studio will have that weather for you here in Iowa after some snowfall coming in right when we were getting planting going on here in the state. But first, I'm going to send it back to Des Moines, and we're going to get that ag market recap. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined by Tyler Schau of agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. Tyler, what did we see in the grain markets today?
A lot of negativity really across all commodity markets today. They're hard-pressed to find any of the commodities that had a positive day. Maybe silver is about the only one. Otherwise, grains, cattle. I guess one bright note was hogs. We can finally say hogs had an update. The rest of the commodities, though, were getting tossed around a little bit and going to end up closing down 10 cents in corn and a dozen cents on soybeans and almost 20 cents in wheat.
Tyler, was this just something that was kind of bound to happen, a little natural regression with everything in the red for the most part today, or was there some outside factors that you saw kind of contributing to that?
You know, I can't really point to any specific fundamental news that came in outside of maybe just a lack of news. You know, one of the old adages is that a bull needs fed, or a bull market needs fed. And, you know, we got some bullish news late last week with the cold temperatures coming into the Corn Belt and possible frost and freeze warnings. You know, maybe some of that subsiding a little bit. It's maybe not quite as scary as it was 3 or 4 days ago. So that might be taking a little bit of the premium out of the market. But there just really hasn't been any additional news. You know, we kind of got those cold snap warnings along with the issues with Ukraine and shipping grain into Europe, and then some negativity from Russia on the export corridor. That all kind of came mid to late last week, and it pumped all these markets up. And I could make the argument today is just kind of a correction, pulling some of these grain markets back down, taking a little bit of the premium out.
Tyler, looking at the big picture, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the planting intentions report and what those numbers meant as far as the projections were concerned. And at that time, there was still quite a bit of snow on the ground in the upper Midwest. Since then, we've gotten some additional snow, but a lot of it has already melted. And we were kind of factoring that into those projections that there were going to be a lot of farmers that got such a late start last year because of the weather up in the upper Midwest. Hopefully this year being able to get their crops planted a lot earlier this season. So where do we kind of stand right now, do you think, when it comes to the upper Midwest and maybe some of those projection numbers and what we were expecting?
You know, we made the comment when we got the planting intentions report 3 weeks ago that we felt that 92 million acres of corn, that would be the largest number that you would see for the year. I don't think our estimation has changed any. We see that likely coming down. there will be some acres not get planted. There'll be some that get delayed or pushed into some other crop. I don't think as much possibly as the market was thinking even 2 to 3 weeks ago. My office is located in West Central North Dakota. I've got some growers out here. I've got growers in Central North Dakota, and I got some in Eastern North Dakota. And about all of them would have 3 weeks ago told you it was going to be end of May before they got in to get any crop in the field. Most of them have changed their tune in a couple of weeks, saying they can't believe how quickly the snow has melted. We were very dry. We didn't have a lot of frost. The snow hit before it turned cold, and the ground has really soaked up a lot of this snow a lot faster than anyone was really anticipating, or a lot of the producers were anticipating. So, now it's going to be weather going forward. If it remains dry and we can get in the field, I think the idea of prevented plant might be tapered a little bit here, but if it turns wet and keeps raining, you could see quite a few more PP acres come in over the next few weeks.
And then, Tyler, you already mentioned a little bit earlier, but on the livestock side of the markets today, actually some good news for the hogs, but it was cattle that actually took a little bit of a hit today.
Yeah, your fat cattle had kind of an outside day down. They went up, set some highs or some recent highs, took out yesterday's highs, and then took out the recent lows. They did settle off of their lows a little bit. You've got June feeders down $1.60, and at one point was down about $2.60. So did come off of its lows for the day. I wouldn't get too panicky if I'm in the livestock market. That fundamental news hasn't really changed much on the cattle side. We're short kill-ready cattle. We're short cattle in general, and so everyone's still scrounging to find them. When you have the bull run that we've had in feeders and fats, you're going to have a few down days, let this market breathe a little bit and get some new participants to enter in. Hogs, had a good day. So that hasn't been happening much for the last 2 months. So we'll take it when we can get it.
He is Tyler Schau of agmarket.net with our market analysis today. Tyler, thank you so much for the time. How can our viewers get in touch for more great information?
Look us up on the internet, agmarket.net. If you want to call me directly, the number is 701-987-6009.
Thank you, Tyler. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
And that was Tyler Schau of agmarket.net with our closing analysis. Let's turn our attention now to the closing numbers, and those are courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. May corn is down 5 1/4 at 672 1/4. New crop December corn down 8 even at 563 even. May soybeans down 12 3/4 at 1506 1/2. New crop November soybeans down 11 even at 1308 1/2. May soybean meal down $6.70 at 454.40. May soybean oil down 34 cents at 55.02. Chicago wheat down 16 3/4 at 692 3/4. Minneapolis wheat down 19 even at 866 3/4. Kansas hard red wheat down 18 1/2 at 849 3/4. July oats down 1 even at 341 1/2. On the Merc, June live cattle down $1.60 at 163.60. May feeder cattle down $1.02 at 210.47. May lean hogs down 5 cents at 78.77. May pork cutout down 10 cents at 84.87. And that's been a check of the ag market recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead now and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, we will have more from Dustin Hoffmann, who is in Washington, D.C. for Washington Watch. And Dustin has his conversation with Senator Joni Ernst. This is AMPM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AMPM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network from the North Portico of the White House in Washington, D.C. I'm Dustin Hoffmann. Just back in there earlier this month, President Joe Biden did veto the congressional action from bipartisan members on both houses with the WOTUS legislation. Now, of course, it is still held up in courts and injunctions, as we said earlier. We had the chance to sit down with Iowa Senator Joni Ernst in her office earlier today, and we talked about the situation, among other issues that we were bringing here with the agriculture community. Waters of the U.S. So we know that we just got the injunction at the end of last week that allows Iowa to at least not have to implement it while they're fighting it in the courts. Where are things at congressionally? I know there was work bipartisanship to try to push through to slow down Waters of the U.S. or block it. Where did that go, and where are we at now?
Right, there was an effort in the United States Senate and in the House to overturn the rule that President Biden put forward through the EPA. That was successful in Congress, but was vetoed by President Biden. So now we're reliant upon the courts to make that final determination. So there is a stay in place, an injunction, so we don't have to implement in the state of Iowa. I want to thank Attorney General Brenna Bird for being involved in that. That is so important that we have an AG that supports our businesses and our agriculture across the state, and she is very tied into that. So we are now waiting on the courts to determine whether we move forward with Waters of the U.S. or whether we don't. But I'm also engaging in an effort with Senator Chuck Grassley and Senator Mike Braun of Indiana on a bill that would hopefully define what is a water of the United States and what is not a water of the United States. And what we would hope is that we could get bipartisan support to move that bill.
So the way you're kind of responding, it would make me assume that there's not going to be enough votes to overturn a veto, even though it had bipartisan support to get there.
That is absolutely correct. We do not have enough support to overturn the veto that the president just sent down.
And you mentioned also the making sure we're clarifying what the waters are. I had AG Brenna Bird on last week, and right after the announcement came, and like she said, ships can't move through land even if there's a puddle on the ground from a rainstorm. We understand with Iowa, the Mississippi, the Missouri, those are interstate waterways. Those are where they're regulated. You know, a drowned out spot in a cornfield is not something that's going to be navigated by a ship.
Right, exactly. And that's why President Trump in the last administration, what he put in place through the EPA was a navigable waters rule, which was the original jurisdiction of the federal government. If you can move a boat through the water, if you can navigate it, then it's federal jurisdiction. If you can't, it's not.
And I can see, playing devil's advocate for a second, I can see where water that is going to eventually drain and get its way into these waters. I can understand you want to make sure that everything is as clean as you possibly can. You want to make sure that, but that comes back then to everything we're doing to be nutrient reduction strategies, all that other stuff that farmers are already working on to make sure that if the event that they get that drowned out spot, it goes into the tile and eventually makes its way to the Gulf, that water's at least been filtered and cleaned by as much as they can possibly do to make it safe.
Right, absolutely. And we are doing our absolute darndest to make sure that we keep our soil healthy and our water is clean. And you're right, the nutrient reduction strategy in Iowa is part of that equation. But bottom line, when the Farm Bureau took a look at this, when President Obama put in place the Waters of the U.S. rule, when we look at the state of Iowa, over 97% of the land in Iowa was ruled as a water of the U.S. That is outrageous. And that meant even if you wanted to dig fence post holes, that you would have to get federal permitting to do that. It's beyond ridiculous. And what we see in this administration under President Biden is very close to what President Obama tried to put in place as well. So we're back in the old game of administration to administration, moving on different rules. And it's giving our farmers whiplash. It's giving them whiplash. So what we would like to do in Congress, of course, is to pass a law that clearly defines, again, what is a water of the U.S. and what is not under federal jurisdiction.
Well, that again was Iowa Senator Joni Ernst joining us here on Ag Matters PM. I'm going to send it back to the studios in Des Moines as we take a look at that ag weather outlook.
As you can see from the National Weather Service, today widespread showers with thunderstorms, high temperatures around the state ranging from 64 to 80 degrees. Tonight, showers are likely, chances for thunderstorms and breezy, lows expected in the 44 to 60 range. Tomorrow, widespread showers and isolated thunderstorms, windy, high temperatures ranging from 56 to 72. And looking at our affiliate weather map for tomorrow, Cherokee, breezy with a chance of thunderstorms and then a slight chance for showers, high around 56. Shenandoah, breezy with a chance for thunderstorms, then mostly sunny and a high around 63. Des Moines, showers likely and windy on Thursday, high around 63. Albia, windy with thunderstorms and then showers, highs around 61. Waterloo, showers and windy with a high around 61, and Clinton, showers and breezy, high around 72.
For more detailed forecasts in your area, tune to your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliates, and that's been our Ag Weather Outlook. And that brings us to the end of today's show as we're standing outside the U.S. Supreme Court building here in Washington, D.C., knowing that no matter what happens in the halls of Congress, the lower courts, or even at the White House, good chance the waters of the U.S. rule will end up before these justices here to have its final decision made. We thank Iowa Senator Joni Ernst for joining us from her office here on today's program. Don't forget, you can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, so that way you're notified every time we put out a new news program for AMPM. Also, don't forget about the free Twice Daily Market podcast from Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Google, and Podbean. From outside the United States Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C., I'm Dustin Hoffmann. For Riley Smith and Mark Magnuson back at the IARN studios in Des Moines, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.